Hey everybody, it's MykieD, and today we're going to talk about stage boxes for Autocross. So what we've got here is we've got a box with some sensors in it, a box with some lights in it, a siren, and another box with some sensors in it. So the process is the car pulls up to the start lane, and as it pulls up, it breaks this first beam, and a light comes on, and then it pulls a little further, and a second light comes on. And then the starter has this little switch, and as he presses the switch, the red light will change to green, the siren will chirp for a moment, and then the car takes off. So if I push this button down, the green light lights up, the siren chirps. The green light stays on as long as I'm holding this button down. So this is a single pole double throw switch. It's you can get this at switchcraft.com. Nice little pendant. One line of the switch is hooked to the red, and then as I push this down, the other is connected to green, and the common's to power. And then there's some electronics behind the scenes that chirp that siren, which is about 112 dB. I just buy those off of eBay, and it's a chirp for I think 0.4 of a second. And there's some electronics behind the scenes to make that happen. We're gonna get into that detail in another video, but for now we're just going operation. So let's talk about the sensors. So I've got emitters in that box, and I've got a receiver in this box. So how this works is you've got a 12-volt battery that is powering two red lights effectively, and those red lights are shining through those two big holes, and those provide two little blotches on that other box over there. If I move this from side to side, you can kind of see how they move around. And it's important that you don't have those two lights merge and crosstalk to each other. So if I pull this thing out of here and shine it on the wall, you can see the two blotches. But if I back up like 20, 30 feet, those two will merge. They get bigger and bigger as you go. So the idea is these holes, which are 1 3/4 in diameter, they kind of block some of the light. I set this down in here, and that light shines on that box. Now, if I go on the other side, and I put my camera down in here, and I look through this hole, you'll see that red light from that emitter. But if I move over a little bit, you don't see the red light from the other emitter. And that's the key to make this thing work, because you can't have one sensor reading the light from the opposite side, otherwise this isn't going to work. The depth of this is important. If I were to take this sensors and push those all the way to the front, I don't get that shadow mask type of effect, so that's important. Now, these sensors that I'm using come from Automation Direct, and here's the part numbers for it. There's a receiver and an emitter, and you can buy them as a pair. And they're the little blue thing with the cable on it. The black plastic is something I 3D printed, and the lens on the front is something I got off of eBay. If you search for like planar condenser lens or something from a projector. So these are actually the lens in the front of a projector like you have in your office shining on the wall. That's where I got these from, and they're maybe $10 a piece. And the reason we have them on there is from the first revision of this. And I have a little demonstration here. So here's that projector lens. It's just a chunk of glass, flat on one side, curvature on the other. And if I set these on these calibrated 2x4s, and I take my little laser and I shine, let's see if I can do this with one hand, and I move this laser back and forth, the dot on the floor doesn't really move that much. I don't quite have the exact focal length figured out with my calibrated 2x4s, but you get the idea. So in Pro Solo world, we have laser, and they've been notoriously difficult to align because you have to take that dot and you have to get it to line up on that front of that itty bitty blue sensor down there. So that sensor might be 1/4 inch in diameter. It's really hard to hit. Anytime you bump the box on the other side, you jiggle that laser light moves, and it comes off the sensor and it no longer works. By putting the lens in front, I now have a 2-inch diameter target that I can shine against, and it focuses all that light energy on the back. Now the next one I'm going to build is without that lens, and to see if I can get the same type of performance out of it. I'm thinking I don't need to have the focusing effect with this sensor, but we'll find out. Things in bright sunny days can be kind of challenging. All right, more things. Electrically, what's going on here? This switch, receiver switch, when light hits it, can either turn on when light hits it or turn off when light doesn't hit it. So there's a selector on top. There's an L and a D on there, and you can select light operate or dark operate. So I have it working with dark operate. So meaning when I put my hand in front of here, that light turns on. It's operating in the dark. You could have the opposite. I could put my hand in there and the light would go off. That sensor was initially driving that light directly, but that is about an 80 milliamp rated output of that sensor, and that light is about 120 milliamps. So I ran it that way for 4 or 5 events, just trying to see what kind of safety factor they had in it, and I ended up getting one that was stuck on, would never turn off. So that rating is real. So I ended up building some circuit board in the back of this box, some MOSFET transistors and things. Again, that's another video, explain how that is. So I can drive much higher power lights with that. The start switch drives the red and green directly, so no issues there. But with this electronic receiver, we got to maintain the output currents so you don't exceed them. One other final note, when you make these boxes, and just another couple data points, is that those holes are 9 inches off the floor and 7 inches apart, because that's what the Pro Solo rules state, so I use that. But when you make the box, get yourself a can of this Flex Seal stuff and spray the bottom of this container. Don't get anything on the sides, because when you stack them and nest them, they'll stick. But this greatly reduces the ability of wind to push these boxes and misalign them, like orders of magnitude better. It's not sticky. It doesn't. It dries fine. Just put about let's see, one can, and I did 4 boxes. So I sprayed a couple, 3 coats of that kind of stuff. It works great, fabulous. So if you got any questions, please post them in the video comments below. And until next time.